Hello, I'm Nancy Hobson, Education and Outreach Coordinator for Assisted Living at Plymouth Harbor. Each week, I bring to you, our caregivers, a message known as Nancy's Notes. My goal in this message is to do one thing, to help you in your self-care strategies as a caregiver during this time of COVID-19. And I say to you, if we were to ask your loved ones at this time, what do they want for you? Well, they want you to be healthy in mind, body, and spirit. And so with that in mind, we know that research shows the better you are in mind, body, and spirit, the better your care will be. So take that thought to the bank. Today, I want to spend a little time on encouraging you to practice all the things that you are doing. Practice, practice, practice. And I want to introduce a concept known as reframing. And it's a communication technique that I want to tell you more about today. First, we know, as the old adage goes, practice makes perfect, is a common phrase that we've heard before. And usually, I don't know about you, but usually for me, it was my dad saying, Nancy, practice makes perfect. And that sometimes felt painful. Well, this isn't going to be painful to you, because here's the nugget. Practicing over and over a positive action creates a positive habit. And that's something we all can use. You know, caregivers have so much on their plate during normal times. And we know that during COVID-19, these are not normal times. And so what you have on your plate is a different type of caregiving journey. But we want to have you prepared so that you can keep forging ahead, because it's a long journey that we need you to be a part of. So I want to tell you that not only is it a positive action, but it helps your brain. And it helps your brain in two ways. The first has to do with all the chemicals in the brain. I'm sure you've all heard of cortisol. And cortisol is a fight or flight hormone. And we definitely need that at times to keep us safe. But we don't need too much of it. And when we are anxious, the cortisol levels rise. And that isn't good for the body. But when we are thinking instead of negative thoughts or having anxiety in our life, when we're thinking positive thoughts and we're calm, then it releases a chemical known as serotonin. And the brain likes serotonin, and you will too. Another reason why we want you to do this for your brain has to do with research that shows that skills are enhanced when you are thinking positively. Now, isn't that a novel thought? Barbara Fredrickson, a positive psychologist out of the University of North Carolina, provides these insights. And I want you to listen to this statement. Negative emotions you practice narrow your mind and focus your thoughts on a way that limit what you learn when you're trying to learn new material. So let me say that again. Negative thoughts limit your ability to learn new material. However, positive thoughts, positive emotions allow in the brain more space and more ability to take in new information, to learn new skills, because your focus is expanded. So if I had to translate what I just read about Barbara's statement, there's less room in your brain to capture new skills and new options because it's busy being anxious or stressed. So let's think of practicing positive thoughts as a good brain power enhancer. Now I'd like to move on to the second notion that I said that I wanted to talk about today, and that has to do with reframing. Reframing is a communication tool that is used quite often in classes to teach individuals how to think differently. The Oxford Dictionary defines the process of reframing, used as a verb, in two ways. Number one, to place a picture or photograph in a new frame. Number 2, to express words or concepts or plans differently. So think about it, caregivers. We have an opportunity to put on a new frame and to think differently. Let me give you a few examples outside of caregiving that you might want to listen to so that you can understand this concept a little better. So here goes. Here's one. Be quiet. That becomes, can you use a softer voice? Or how about, oh my, what a mess. And sometimes we know that's said a little bit more emphatically. That becomes with reframing. How can we get this cleaned up? So reframing is one of the most effective ways of communicating to yourself. How do I think about this differently? Or to others. How do I think about this differently? How can I say this better to make it understood and be appreciated? Here at Plymouth Harbor, we teach Teepa Snow's philosophy of care known as Positive Approach to Care, PAC for short, and I'm a certified teacher in that, and over again in our training. It's practice, 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 and it's also thinking differently about how we communicate with your loved ones when they are challenged. I want to leave you with a story today that I think you'll like, and I think it says something to the points that I'm talking about today. I found it on a website called beginwithyes.com. The name of the story is Potato, Eggs, and Coffee Beans. And I'm sure you're going to say to yourself, now where's she going to go with that? So here goes. A daughter complained to her father that her life was miserable and that she didn't know how she was going to make it. She was tired of fighting and struggling all the time. It seemed that just as one problem was solved, another one soon followed. Her father, a chef, took her to the kitchen. He filled 3 pots of water and put them on the fire. When the water began to boil, he placed potatoes in one pot, eggs in the middle pot, and ground coffee beans in the third pot. He let them boil for a while without saying a word to his daughter. The daughter moaned and groaned and waited impatiently, wondering what was her father doing. After 20 minutes, he turned off the burners. He took the potatoes and eggs out of the pot and placed them in different bowls and poured the coffee into a cup. Turning to her, he asked, "What do you see?" "Potatoes, eggs, and coffee," she quickly replied. "Look closer," he said, and touched the potatoes. She did, and noted they were soft. He then asked her to take an egg and break it. After removing the shell, she observed the hard-boiled egg. Finally, he asked her to sip the coffee. Its rich aroma brought a smile to her face. "Father, what does this mean?" she asked. He then explained that the potatoes, eggs, and coffee beans had each faced the same adversity, boiling water. However, each one reacted differently. The moral of the story: the potato went in strong, hard, and unrelenting, but in boiling water it became soft and weak. The egg was fragile with a thin outer shell protecting its liquid interior until it was put in the boiling water. Then the inside of the egg became hard. However, the coffee beans were unique. After being exposed in the boiling water, they changed the water and created something new. "Which are you?" he asked his daughter. "When adversity knocks on your door, how do you respond? Are you a potato, an egg, or a coffee bean?" So the moral of the story: things happen around us, things happen to us, but the only true thing that matters is what happens within us. So my friends, to all of your caregiving, who are you? Which are you? The potato, the egg or the coffee beans. Remember, you have the power to change too. You have the power to change within you. And you know what? You just might get a cup of coffee out of it. Nancy Hobson signing off.